What in the fuck happened to your face?
Got smooth.
Why you look so fucking clean? Why you look like you hanging around the dorm, fucking smoking squares? Why the fuck? You look so young. You look like a fucking... Oh my god, what happened, Adam?
You know,
You
sometimes
were a beefy man, now you're just a boy.
sometimes you just got to make a change. I did this in the middle of, we were watching The Amazing Race last night. The whole family was sitting on the couch watching The Amazing Race, and I'm like, I'll be right back.
Oh no, you did it mid-commercial?
Right in the middle of the show. Like, I just made like I was gonna go take a deuce, and I come back out, and my kids were like,
Father,
what happened to your face?
you got the Benjamin Button disease.
Yeah, and then
You're going backwards.
And then, like typical kids, they were like, wow, you looked so much better before. I'm like, thanks, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Take it as a compliment. You're aging well, like a fine cheese or wine.
Well, you see what I did is I grew out all my hair, right? I had the long hair.
Yeah.
Beard, and then I looked like I was like 87 years old. And then I cut the hair, and everybody's like, wow, you look so much younger. And now I shaved, and everybody's like, wow, you look so much younger. So I don't know what else I can get rid of. Maybe 35 pounds.
Mega Dads Live is a mature-rated podcast. It's for the Mega Dads, the Mega Moms, but not the Mega Kids. So put on those earmuffs and let's go!
You're looking good. You're looking good. You're looking spry.
Thanks.
You're looking like you can impregnate someone if you wanted to.
I couldn't.
Oh, you got the snip.
No, just old and floppy.
Oh, your swimmers are like drowning. They're like,
Everything's tired. How's it
Yeah,
going?
I hear you. Things are good. You know what I mean? Just surviving. It's the summertime. It's the summer. You step outside for like 10, 15 minutes and all of a sudden it's just like a deep burn all over that's what happens. Do you believe that when people say the sun is hotter now or it's worse to be in the sun now and all of that? They're like, oh yeah, the sun's much worse now. Back in the day, we spent all day out in the sun.
Well, everything is worse now, right? Like nobody can just
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we
fixed the ozone layer, right? Didn't that like fix itself or something?
I just think nobody talks about it anymore because we're fucked. I think
it's all gone.
I think
it's one of the two. It's
that's the
either
difference.
fine or it's all gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I burn in the sun. Do you burn in the sun?
Oh yeah. So I was just about to say we're Midwest people, so we're forced to be inside for like 8 months out of the year.
No time to adapt.
You go outside and you are 10 minutes in the sun and you just like you fry up like a motherfucker.
Like in Terminator when you're like holding onto the fence and it's just like and like the fire is
Judgment
like
Day
everything.
once it gets over 80 degrees. My wife took the kids to the beach yesterday and she came back and she was just like beet red. And she's like, I put so much sunscreen on. I'm like, yeah, it don't matter because we live in Minnesota and we need to be paper or ketchup. Those are the complexion differences. You can be paper or you can be ketchup.
Oh, that sucks.
Whatever, it is what it is. Is it hot there or is it just
It is
Midwest
like going to
hot?
be 90, 95
No
the
shit.
whole week. Yeah, so we're going to be sweaty. We're going to be sweaty up in here.
I want
we
you to
have
get
our
super
air
tan this
conditioning.
summer.
I like if I do a nice slow like outside, get out there for a few minutes, come in, go out, be protective still.
Yep.
I get darker.
I want to
do.
see it.
I have a nice caramel fringe. Like like a donut before they put any glaze on it.
Like a
You
real
know what I'm talking
Hispanic.
about? Like an old-fashioned donut. That's an old-fashioned Hispanic tan.
Mhm.
That's what I'm going for. A nice browning. What are we talking
I don't
about?
know. You want to talk about some games? Should we do the
Yeah,
show?
let's talk about games. Yeah, let's do
Let's do the show.
Okay.
All right. So, hey, this is Mega Dad's Live. This is how we do it.
Mega Dad's live?
Yeah.
Are we live right now?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
It's the summer game bank season, what we like
I
to
love
call it
summer
here at
game
Mega
bank.
Dads. And even more so now than ever. See, we adapted this terminology, summer game bang, when we had our E3 And then we had a Jeff Keighley thing that he wanted to interject and he wanted to try to take over, right, and swallow
Summer
E3. So
Game
we're like,
Fest,
it's
yeah.
not just E3 season anymore. There's more than one thing. So it's Summer Game Bang. And then you had like EA Play and all that crap. Now,
Yep.
there's about 700 of these things. So it's like ultimate Summer Game Bang.
Let me do it, Adam.
Do you wanna
let me?
run
Yeah,
through
I'm gonna
these?
do it. So here is the short list of all of the showcases, directs, video presentations that people have to wade through in the summer gaming season. We're gonna go very fast. May 23rd, Warhammer Skulls. May 25th, Indie Expo. May 30th, PlayStation State of Play. May 30th, Silent Hill Transmission. June 4th, OTK Games Expo. June 4th, the Best Indie Games Showcase. June 6th, Guerrilla Collective Online Showcase. June 7th, Summer Game Fest. June 7th, Day of the Devs. June 7th, Access and Ability Showcase. June 7th, Devolver Direct. June 8th, Wholesome Direct. June 8th, Future Game Showcase. June 8th, Future of Play Direct. June 8th and 9th was GameSpot Live. June 9th, PC Gaming Show. June 9th, Giant Bomb at Night. June 9th, Xbox Game Showcase. And then they had a extra like Call of Duty thing like kind of attached to the butt end of it. Ubisoft Forward was June 10th. And then supposedly we're going to get a Nintendo Direct at some point, which we haven't yet. And then we have the Upload VR Showcase. That is the new post E3 world we're living in. You have to go and sit and tune into all that if you want to see what's going on. Or watch recaps or something.
And I don't know and haven't heard of at least half of what you have listed here.
Mm-hmm. To even hear that they exist.
To even know that they exist. And then on top of that, I don't think you have IGN Live on here, which was another thing.
It was.
So there's probably even more that we
yeah.
don't know about that isn't part of this, plus a whole bunch of stuff that we never heard of. And before we start talking about like the great, there's a lot of great in here. There's a lot of good in here.
Sure. No,
obviously,
there's positives
just
to the whole thing. Yeah.
But I want to talk about just like an overall feeling because as old people, mega dads, you know, we grew up in the golden era of E3. And as you just very systematically pointed out, like this is a totally different landscape. How do we feel? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of growing pains, right? This is not necessarily the new normal. Summer Game Fest is still going through a lot of growing pains and trying to figure out what they are. How did you feel this year went?
I sat down and watched the least I've ever sat down and watched because just looking at the list and I knew what was happening, I was exhausted by even looking at the list of the upcoming things. And then I was like, you know what? Why am I going to sit and watch one of these showcases when I could just go and do the research and see at the end of it all, do recaps, best of each show, or see what cream naturally like rises to the top and just get everything in the condensed post new gaming space, new gaming news, all the influencers, what happened in a recap form. I sat and watched some IGN Live. I sat and watched the Xbox showcase. I didn't get to see it live. I watched it the day after, recorded. And I just miss E3. I never got to go, but I would sit and watch E3 at home on my TV, blasting it. I'm like, let me get that as close to the excitement as I could. And I lament that I was never able to sit there live or even just be around the buzz of the show floor. Right. So more than ever, I didn't tune in. And did I miss out on anything? Really, by not being there, quote unquote? It feels hollow to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me.
Hot take.
This fucking sucks. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. More is less. More is less. You hit the nail on the head. I absorbed the least amount of gaming content because of the absurd avalanche of showcases. It is unreal. As you said before, even if you didn't attend E3, and I only attended 2 of them, But before times, you knew where to go. You had E3, and you had all sorts of different outlets. There was still a plethora of places you could go to absorb that content, but they were all covering the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is not so anymore. The state of gaming journalism / media is so gross these days. I'm looking online. I'm not a Twitter guy anymore. I'm off of X. I'm off of the X. So my main place of gaming consumption is Threads, and I'm looking on Threads, and everybody that I see reporting, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but most of the people that I see reporting from Summer Game Fest or IGN Live are just content creators like you and I, and they're not journalists, right? They're not getting the meat off the bone. It's like, oh my God, I got a chance to play Astrobot. Here's what I think about Astrobot. I'm like, how about the other fucking 700 games, right? Back in the day, you'd get EGM, you'd get IGN, you'd get Game Informer, and they would take all of what E3 was, and they had a very methodical way of presenting news. They would play the games, and they would report on the news. And now it's just like people chasing likes and chasing clicks, saying, "Hey, I got to play the thing. It was cool." That's not what I'm looking for. Like, I can tell by a trailer if a thing is cool or not. There's just too much, entirely too much. I did not watch any of Summer Game Fest. And looking at the recaps, I didn't miss anything. IGN Live looked pretty cool, and it looked like a very, very, very mini E3 where people were getting in and having a chance to play stuff, and it was closer to what I want out of this game space. But like, you just look at, I don't even know what Wholesome Direct is. I don't know what Future Games Shows is. I don't know what OTK Games Expo is. I don't know what the fuck any of this stuff is. So I watched a couple of the things that sounded familiar to me. I watched the Xbox, I watched the PlayStation, I watched the IGN, and that was about it.
Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying about kind of like the quality of what comes out on the other end. So the idea is everyone gets some of the spotlight, right? Everybody gets a time to shine. But automatically, like we're saying, there's less people watching the stage, because it's like going to a concert and they have bands that are all across like 4 stages, and it's like you can choose between this. Your attention is divided. At this time I could choose to watch this or this, and I'm gonna miss out on something. And that's what it is. It's spread paper thin. And there is a positive to this. Like, you see some of these showcases that are developed from the ground up by like outlets. I think Kind of Funny does one. I think that other organizations get in and they say, hey, let's highlight accessible games. Let's highlight games that are comfy. And like, there is more of a focus in some of these smaller shows, and there is a positive aspect to that. But then again, you're just still lost again, and it has to go through a filter. Somebody has to sit through it all, translate it, get it down. If this is going to be successful, it's like an integral piece. Like, you need those people to regurgitate and give it. And then what if they're not as talented as like an official IGN? Then it's like, I played it. Again,
you got
we're
a
back to
streamer
paper
talking
thin.
about going hands-on with Microsoft Flight Simulator or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I'm looking for. And this brings up an interesting point, is we all wondered when E3 died, is everybody going to hop in that same space, that same time frame? Are they still going to play in the same week of reveals, or are people going to branch out? And you saw PlayStation kind of do that a little bit. They got like, I still don't even think PlayStation State of Play was like an E3 caliber thing. It was just a state of play. But like, everybody still kind of dropped right in that June 7, 8, 9, 10 area.
Yeah, it's still the summer. It's still that week. It's still like, let's get this out now for things that it may be coming out either next year or, holiday. And that's kind of like, we're still with the time frame, so they haven't changed that yet.
And it makes you wonder if some of these smaller or more focused, like you said, showcases would be better off doing one of these things in July, or if they want. You know what I mean? Like, are you doing yourself any good by trying to compete with Summer Game Fest and all this other stuff, or are you just getting lost in the noise?
Well, somebody figured it out, Adam. It's the marketing geniuses at Nintendo. They didn't hold it.
They didn't do it.
direct.
Yeah.
Is it because they have absolutely nothing? Maybe.
I think that's it.
We don't know.
But also, if you look at, even in the E3 days, you would get big super publishers would have their night for their showcase, right? Like we have nothing from Capcom here. We have nothing from Square Enix here. We have nothing from Nintendo here. It's interesting the players that did not show up or showed up in somebody else's showcase. Like we had Monster Hunter in PlayStation, but Capcom didn't come out swinging with like Resident Evil, and we didn't get anything from Capcom. So it feels like this is a test. It feels like this is everybody tried something in the year after E3, but I hope this isn't the new normal, because I didn't enjoy it. It didn't feel impactful. It felt overwhelming.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Well, as long as we both agree, let's get on to like some of the good stuff. Let's get on to the good shit that we got out of these.
Cream. Cream rose to the top.
We were able to get some cream out of it. We were able to squeeze it hard enough to get some cream.
I sampled the cream.
Yeah. And both you and I brought 5 games or moments from the Summer Game Bang that we want to talk about as some of our favorite moments. And then at the end, we're going to give our game of the bang.
The
game of the bang. The creamiest
Which game
cream.
Banged the most.
Post-bang cream. We're still workshopping a title for it.
Yes,
but we're going to go through this. The 5 things that we thought were incredibly awesome that we want to talk about. Hit me with your number 5.
See, I didn't rank them like that, but I'll rank them.
It's okay. Just pretend like you did.
Number 5, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 was shown at the Xbox Games Showcase from publisher Kepler Interactive and developer Sandfall Interactive. It's a turn-based RPG with real-time elements and an art style and world inspired by Belle Epoque era France. Everyone really loved the Xbox Games Showcase, whereas I was just at very good, honestly.
Really?
I wanted things like an Expedition 33 where it's something that you're hearing about for the first time. I wanted it to be even more mind-blowing, and Expedition 33 gets an award of interested, not hyped, just interested. It just has such a unique art style and story. Did you catch this one?
Yeah, it looks like French Persona. Looks like like medieval French fantasy Persona.
It's doing something different on the visual front and kind of on the story front too. Like the whole thing is there is a big bad, like the enemy person. This being is writing a number on a big obelisk, and their number that they write, anyone that age is dead. So they've started from a high number and then just keep writing like 35, and then all the 35-year-olds are like turned to ash or whatever, and then 34, and then now it's like 33.
Is it a countdown?
It's like a countdown of destruction, like if Thanos did it like one age at a time.
So there ain't no old people in this world then.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
we're screwed.
It seems like a interesting take on what they're fighting for, and an interesting on like the end of the world. I love shows like like The Last of Us and apocalyptic things, where you have a setting where things are just super bleak. I don't know if you've ever seen the show, The Forgotten. No, it was on HBO. Anyway, it was about people who were just like disappear all in one fell swoop, and kind of like the way that has an effect on the people left behind in the world. The Leftovers on HBO was a really great show. So it's interesting to me. It piqued my interest, let's say, and I think that it added to the very goodness, the pretty greatness of the Xbox Games Showcase. So Expedition 33 is my number 5.
I think overall the Xbox Showcase had such visually impressive games, like not just like great graphics, but like wildly different. And one of my number 5 is actually an Xbox showcase game called South of Midnight. And this was another game that was just like, it just looked so unique, so different, and it animates on that effect, kind of like the Spider-Verse, where it's not every frame of animation is
Yes.
like every other. So it doesn't look jittery, but it looks almost stop motion like.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's a beautiful looking game that takes place in this fantasy bayou like setting, and you are this girl who's riding on the back of a talking giant magic catfish, and she's searching for her mom, and you're navigating through this swamp, and there's this gigantic, even bigger than the catfish, but this like massive Shadow of the Colossus sized alligator called Two-Toed Joe. And he's like he's the antagonist in this trailer, in this demo. Just really cool art direction. This comes from the folks who made We Happy Few, which was a game that I was not interested in. I didn't think that game looked good at all. But this one, it looks very similar to like Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which was my game of the year a couple years ago, and just that third person adventure. It's got a little bit of action, but it's all about that really intricate looking world with really great characters. And when you see Two-Toed Joe come out of the swamp, and he's like an island, he's as big as an island. He's got like trees growing on his back and shit. And just the art design is really what it did it. And it's also got a really cool musical component to it that I didn't catch the first time I watched the trailer, but I just rewatched it before recording. And I was listening with my headphones on, and I realized that the song that's playing in the background, they're singing about the alligator. And,
No way,
and they're
that's
singing
cool.
about what you're doing. Like as this girl has to approach this church and scale the bell tower and ring the bell to ward off the alligator. And I noticed that the lyrics of the song that's playing in the background is talking about the church and the bell, and Two-Toed Joe is going to eat
That
the
is
bell.
awesome.
And it really made me wonder if that's going to be like a major gameplay component, if the music in the game is going to marry with the gameplay. I was really impressed with South of Midnight. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, the whole cultural aspect, the accents of people talking, the setting is super interesting. I wanted more of the stop motion feel, like of the cutscenes. I almost wanted that to be even more prevalent in the gameplay.
That is interesting you say that, because I didn't notice it at all when it switched to gameplay. Like you didn't really see it.
I think it's more normal. Like I think they toned it down at the very least. But if I remember correctly, things look pretty smooth, which I understand. Like these days, people are obsessed with frame rate, so it's like, well, people don't want to play a stop motion game. Maybe they did testing and were like, oh, we don't want to do this the entire time.
I'll tell you,
it's just the cutscene.
You do there's a Shadow or a Spider-Verse skin in the Spider-Man games where your character will animate like the movies, and it looks so damn cool in the gameplay.
It looks good.
Hopefully they apply that to the real game, or to the full game, because it looks great in the cutscenes.
Xbox needs more games like this, so I'm glad that they have it. She had a little like an air glider thing made of like magic, like wind or something. I thought was really cool. Looking forward to it. Yep.
Hit me with your number 4.
Number 4, Sonic X Shadow Generations is an enhanced remaster of 2011 Sonic Generations. It's out October 25th on all consoles. It was first revealed during Sony's January State of Play, but we saw a full trailer during Summer Game Fest. So I am not a big Sonic person.
I'm surprised to see this on your list.
Yeah, I it's not something that really is huge for me. Like when people talk about like Sonic Adventures, Sonic Colors, the greats, the good ones, like I'm very intrigued about going back, but then never end up going back and investing heavy time in it. I really like the newer stuff that they have done, not Sonic 4 or anything like that, but the what was the one on Switch? It started out on Switch, but the newer Sonic games were good, the 2D ones. Mm-hmm. This Sonic X Shadow Generations looks awesome. The graphics look so great, the colors are popping, the music is way better than in the games that I've played recently, and I'm just super intrigued for this and excited. And I'm thinking I gotta go back to Sonic. This is what's going to pull me back. It's very interesting that they're going to remaster, but also add levels. So we have like, new shadow stuff. And I am just pretty hyped for this, surprisingly hyped. It just looks very good and what we've seen so far. And others seem to be hyped about it as well, Sonic fans. And, sure, they'll play pretty much whatever, but I think that I think that this could definitely not be dog water. So
I played this
Sonic
Sonic Generations, the original game. I played it on PlayStation Plus, and Sonic is like, it is good. I liked it a lot because I like that it was a blend of like the Dreamcast 3D Sonic and then the old school Sonic.
Love it.
Thinking about Sonic, I don't think I've ever played a Sonic game all the way through. I've played plenty of them. I don't know that I've ever finished a Sonic game.
It can be difficult when you have the old school like lives, and then you're going through some of the harder levels and losing patience and trying to just run through it and getting hurt and stuff. So yeah, I understand how that could be.
Well, let's go to another remake. This is one that I'm so excited for. I'm so excited about Silent Hill 2. We got a nice gameplay trailer during the State of Play alongside a release date finally, and it's landing where it should in October, the height of spooky season. I hear a lot of people talking about Silent Hill 2 remake in a very meh way. I hear a lot of people saying this doesn't look like it stacks up to the Resident Evil remakes, and I get like this sense of deja vu because that was really the biggest hurdle that Silent Hill had all along, was that people wanted it or expected it to be Resident Evil, and it's not. Silent Hill is not a Resident Evil game. This is not an action adventure with supernatural monsters. It is a psychological trip into the very depths of hell. And looking at what Bloober Team has done with this remake, it absolutely captures all of the magic. From what I can tell out of these reveals that they've had, the color grading looks exact from the PlayStation 2 era of Silent Hill 2. The graphics are high res and look realistic, and the facial animation that they've shown on the characters now, the voice acting and how they emote, it's leaps and bounds forward, and it's exactly what I want. I want them to make it modern, but I don't want them to make it different. Like, I want that same feeling. And the voice acting, they really did a good representation in these gameplay trailers. I saw a couple interviews with some of the voice actors, and they really nail that sense of like, something's not right here. They don't sound like you would expect people to sound like in these situations. Like if you're being chased by these horribly grotesque mutants and monsters, you'd expect people to be freaking out, but nobody ever freaks out in Silent Hill. That's what makes it so off-putting and so creepy, is nobody ever reacts the way you expect them to react, and therefore you don't know their true motivations or their true feelings or if they're legit or not. And that's kind of the heart of a good Silent Hill game, is just looking at these characters that you meet or play as and wondering like, what the fuck is going on with this dude? Because he does not seem right. And they nail that with the voice acting. That was kind of like my main concern about this game, is like, are they going to be able to match that feel of the voice acting and the presentation? And it really looks like they have. I could not be more excited for Silent Hill 2. I'm so happy that they seem to be nailing it. I don't know if it's going to be a mainstream hit, because it's still, like I said, it's coming across and it's competing with the juggernaut that is the Resident Evil remake. So it's been so successful and so bombastic and huge and epic. And Silent Hill 2 is not an epic. It's not a huge game. It's an intimate horror. So I don't know if that's going to be for everybody, but it sure as hell is going to be for me.
It looks good to me as far as like the visuals. There's some odd complaints going on about like the character models and things like that. But if it is true to the original and the tone and the feeling of playing, if that comes through, which to me it looks like it is, it will find some success with the people that have been clamoring for it. Like you. I think it's a vocal minority that is just, up in arms about nothing. Maybe it is Resident Evil fans claiming to be like, I don't think they are Silent Hill fans. I think anyone who's legitimately hoping for a Silent Hill that this is what you were.
This is what you would want. Yeah. I mean, there's such different experiences. I would never want them to remake Silent Hill 2 to be like Resident Evil 4. It looks
good.
You know?
It looks good. Yeah. In watching it. So yeah, I think it's going to work out.
It's going to look good. Looking good. What's your number 3?
Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 edition.
Hell,
so a trailer for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 was shown at the Xbox Game Showcase, the follow-up to 2020's well-received Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's designed to take advantage of the latest technologies in simulation, cloud, machine learning, and graphics, and it's set to launch this November. I was blown away by this trailer. There's something about the intricacies and detail of the visuals that really is blowing me away. I have not dipped too much into the flight sim, even the 2020 version, but people have always talked about like, oh, it's a beautiful thing to go to this area of the world and fly across and over like cities and beautiful vistas. And this trailer in particular really pointed that out, that the world is beautiful around us. And I want to dive in and see how they're pulling this off, because again, it's something that I haven't experienced too much yet. So I think this will definitely pull me in. The fact that it's going to be included as a Xbox Game Studio game on Game Pass, it's going to be great. There's something else about the trailer that caught my eye, and that was all the times that we saw multiple aircraft flying together. So there were like some helicopter type things. There were the like speed racing planes, like the Red Bull plane, like flying with others. And I'm just like, is this gonna be a really, really cool multiplayer experience? I know that they added, I believe, multiplayer to the 2020 version, if I'm not mistaken, but this looks really good. What did you think about Flight Sim 2024?
I love the last game. Love it. It is so much fun. It is so unique and different and unapologetically sim-like, but also kind of accessible, because I'm a dude that I cannot fly a plane, but boy, did I have a lot of fun. And the options that they give to you to experience the game however you want to, you can like chart a flight. Okay, I'm going to fly from MSP International to bumfuck Egypt, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just fly that course. Or you can say, I just want to fly over Sydney, Australia. Just put me there. And they put you in the air. It is a game that can be as slow and plodding as flying an international flight. Or apparently in Flight Sim 2024, there are all sorts of missions. And that's what's different to me. I didn't experience any of that stuff in the last game. Maybe it's there and I just missed it. But you can do like Coast Guard offshore rescue. You can put out fires in the wilderness with one of those, I don't even know what kind of planes they are, but they drop the flame retardant onto the trees. You can do the Red Bull races like you were talking about. There are all sorts of apparently missions in this game, which are going to appeal to the more casual player who wants to just get in and look at the pretties and fly the planes. Mm-hmm. So this game really is just like, it seems like a world simulator. You can go anywhere, do anything. I don't know how they do this. I don't know how they make this game so damn impressive. It looks so much better than it has any right to be. I'm going to fly into Yellowstone National Park and get out and take pictures of the wildlife. Like, you can do that, apparently. I don't fucking know how this is a game. I don't know how you put the entire planet Earth into a video game. But it seems like they've done it. Looks great.
Great trailer. Got me excited. I'm sure it got other people excited. And I'm glad that it's going to be, looks like it's going to push those graphical boundaries once again. And Xbox is getting, good and better at that. So great.
Okay, my number 3 is kind of out of left field for me. There were a couple rumors I saw percolating around about this game possibly coming out. It's Lego Horizon Adventures. I'm not a Lego game fan. I don't enjoy the simplicity of those games. But I love
all the bricks, hit the button.
Yeah, very simple, kind of, no stakes at all adventure platforming. But I love me some Horizon, and I think this game is interesting to me for a couple of different reasons. One, I hope that it signals that they're going to have more Horizon real life Lego sets, because I got that tall neck on my shelf and it is fantastic. Really Give me all the Horizon Lego sets and I'll do it. Two, this game's coming out on Nintendo Switch as well as PlayStation 5, which we got a flagship PlayStation title going to Nintendo Switch. What's happening here, right? That's weird to me. And now all of a sudden we've got like producers of the Lego or of the Horizon franchise talking about, hey, we'd love to get Aloy in the next Smash game. So it to me signals PlayStation's willingness and leaning towards Xbox's approach of maybe put our stuff on more platforms. Super weird. I don't know how I feel good or bad about that, but it's interesting to me that this is happening. But third, this is my favorite PlayStation franchise at the moment, and it's going to be a multiplayer experience. That I might not love the Lego video game experience, but to be able to play a Horizon experience co-op with my son is undoubtedly going to be a great time, and I'm excited for that. What did you think of this game? Weird, right?
So, I read this little tidbit here. In Lego Horizon Adventures, if you can see something, you can recreate it in real life because every asset is made from real Lego bricks, which is just incredible.
It's a visually beautiful game.
It's kind of like when I first had appreciation for the Transformer movies where, they're like, oh, this is actually using all the parts of the car and then they're transforming into the Transformer. And this is what they made it. It's like real, basically, like how they transformed it. And it was impressive. And this was impressive from a technical standpoint. I don't know what's going to happen. I do love the tone of like, let's keep it lighthearted, like the other Lego games and movies. I thought was interesting. So we'll see. Usually the gameplay of these things don't pull me in, don't keep me. It just seems like for a younger audience maybe, and if I'm going to be doing some light combat, doing a collectathon, I rather do it in kind of a different, more mature, like action-y way. But this looks fun, and I bet the kids and the Lego fans are gonna love it.
Absolutely. All right, that brings us to number 2. What do you got on your number 2?
I love number 2s. Adam.
You're
I love
big
2s.
number 2 guy.
Yeah. Tenjetsu is announced this year at the Devolver Direct, is a gritty combat roguelike action game. It's the next game from Deep Night Games and former Dead Cells designer Sebastian Bernard. Have you seen the video of Tenjetsu? The game.
This is one that I have not seen. I'm looking it up right now. It
reminds me of it reminds me of the Dead Cells a little bit from like some of the art style, but it also reminds me of Wrong Number. I forget the name of the full game. Let me Google it really quick. Google Steam Wrong.
It almost looks like those old PS1 SNES era games, like Loaded and Reloaded, where it's like an isometric dungeon crawler almost. Is that right?
Yeah, we're looking at like straight awesome action with a pixelated was streak. You have enemies bleeding and just things getting destroyed everywhere. And you have that was it Sisu? What was the game on PlayStation where you really had to like kind of
Sifu?
Sifu. And it's like kind of like that, where it's like the emphasis is on that hand-to-hand combat.
Interesting.
Against guns and things like that, like John Wicking your way through levels and just having that twitch, making sure that you're going to be surviving amongst the chaos. And it's very visually interesting to me. The only thing, it's Hotline Miami is the game, and Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number is kind of what the vibes that they're giving me. So it's like kind of uber violent, but also fast paced. And it's very interesting. The only problem with these games for me is I'm not very good at them. So I will go, replay some of the levels. And I hope that the roguelike where you get stronger over time and maybe unlock some skills that help you progress in the game is there, because when you start completely from scratch and they say, oh, but your skills got better and that's what's going to get you through the levels, that doesn't always happen for an old person like me whose dexterity stat is dropping year to year. So that's my only reservation about it, but it seems to have taken the world by storm. It's getting a lot of wish lists on Steam, which definitely helps when these games are getting off the ground. So I would say to check this out, wish listed on Steam, Tenjetsu, very interesting, very visually appealing, and I'm hoping to play it. Will you play this one, you think?
I will stay as far the fuck away from this game as possible,
Really?
because you said rogue, and
Yeah,
if
you
there,
don't like that.
if there is a term that will repel me from a game faster than Souls, it is rogue. I appreciate how popular these are and how much people love them, Hades, stuff like that, but it is so not my jam. Just not my jam. But what is my jam, these next two games that I've got on my list, are absolutely 1000% Adam games. First one on that list is Mixtape. This came out of the Xbox showcase, but this is going to be a multi-platform game as well. But this is like an adventure, heavily leaning on story and visual aesthetic, and emotionally resonant for old fucks like us who grew up in the 80s and 90s. It's all about growing up in that era with your friends, running out and getting into mischief and mayhem. It looks like there might be a little ethereal, supernatural shit going on with it, much like a Life is Strange. I love the music. The graphics are just ungodly gorgeous. Like, watch this trailer and try to tell me that this isn't straight up art. The scene where they're going,
the coming of age story with a beautiful like take on art and music, and I knew this was going to be an Adam game.
Yeah, sure. Like this is like take Life is Strange and mix a little Night in the Woods and put a great soundtrack to it. The scene where they're driving across the bridge and the fireworks are going off and the camera's panning around, and I'm just like, day fucking one for me. It's probably going to be a game that is light on gameplay. I mean, you watch this trailer. I can't tell you what kind of game this is. I don't know what you do in it, but I want to live in this world and I want to experience this story because it just hit me like a great movie trailer. Like I'm in all day for Mixtape.
The only thing that bothered me a little bit is the trailer that we saw had a prominent song and maybe a clips of some others, but I didn't recognize it. And then when they went through the soundography or whatever, the discography, and they were like, here's the bands and the songs that you can hope to get sampled, I didn't recognize like more than half of them.
That's what a good mixtape does, man. It gives you a couple songs that and gives you a vibe, gives you a couple artists that you do know, and then it throws a bunch of indie shit in there that you might not know. It's like watching Garden State. It's like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Garden State, right? And it's like, what did everybody do after watching Garden State? They went and got the soundtrack. So the fact that this is called Mixtape and the slight sample that we did get of the music, I'm like, dude, I'm all over this. I didn't recognize some of them. I knew some, but most I did not, and I love that because it's going to be an experience and a little learning, a little musical learning. Never hurt anybody.
Number one for me, Wolfhound. At IGN Live, Chasm developer BitKid revealed Wolfhound, a sci-fi World War II Metroidvania, or Castleroid, if you will, for Nintendo Switch, PS5, Steam, PC, and Steam Deck. A demo is available now ahead of its 2025 release.
Have you played it?
This is a game. No, I have not. This is a game that excited me so much from when I had first discovered. I think I was just on Threads and somebody had shared it, and I didn't know that this was, a thing or around, and it seemed like I wasn't alone as I started to do a little research. It looks like it's captured the attention of many people. So we have the what is it, 16-bit, 32-bit, whatever it is, pixelite art style,
Yeah,
side
this looks
scrolling
somewhere between 8 and
action.
16-bit for sure.
Yeah, and the music is great, the colors are great, the animation and pop, it's just an old school feel, but they're going to have that modern twist and take, maybe some modern conveniences to help out. I was talking to a friend of mine who was into old school Wolfenstein and was saying that it did actually start out as a 2D or a side scroller, which I wasn't sure about, so I would have to look into that to confirm. But basically it's going back to dip into the nostalgic roots of a classic game, but with a new coat of paint. And I love this. I love when they do it right. I love when it's accessible too. And it doesn't seem like I would have to have the huge like Twitch shooter dexterity for this one. So maybe I put in a cheat code and just go through it and have fun while I'm playing it. But BitKid is developing something special here, I think. It looks really great. Are you into these games when they do, the nostalgic take with the fresh coat of paint?
I can be. I think what looks interesting about this is it doesn't really look like it's got much of a fresh coat of paint. Like, this looks like I would have played this on my Super Nintendo. I'm down with that. I think there was like an oversaturation of these retro inspired games for a while after Shovel Knight had such success, but when done right, they can be exceptional. And I think this looks, like you said, it looks a little Metroid, it looks a little Contra, and I'm a sucker for nostalgia. Like, I can see playing this game and then throwing on Rambo 2 and listening to some Guns N' Roses. I dig it. I hadn't heard of this until you brought it up now, but looking at it, it looks pretty cool, and I might download that demo myself.
Yes, I can't wait. Oh, yes.
My number one game was a complete shock. Had no idea this was coming, and it is a sequel to Life is Strange. Not only a new Life is Strange game, they've done several of those, but this is the first true sequel to the original Life is Strange, and it sees the return of that game's protagonist, Max Caulfield, as well as her voice actress, and that is really cool. Now, I have a couple of reservations about it. Mostly, I have not overly enjoyed the Life is Strange games that have been developed by Deck 9. Deck 9 is the studio that took over after Don't Nod left after Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange 2, I adore. I think those are just flawless adventure games. I love, love, love them. They're some of the best. But then we had Life is Strange. Oh, what was the side story they did? Before the Storm was done by Deck 9. And then they produced the True Colors game. And True Colors was closer to what I want out of a Life is Strange game, but it still felt like a cover song. It felt like Deck 9 was just trying to replicate what Don't Nod did in the first two games. But I could tell they were growing, and I could tell they're getting closer, and watching the trailer for Double Exposure and seeing that they're going to go back to that original lead character and continue her story. It both has me very optimistic and a little cautious. I hope they can pull it off because I want to see where they take this next chapter. I'm just excited as a fan of this franchise to see what they do next. I'm rooting for Deck 9. I hope they can pull it off.
I have a question for you about this because I'm not a fan of the series. With Life is Strange Double Exposure, it revolves around kind of a dual reality thing, and one of the girl's friends gets killed, apparently, is like prominent in the trailer. No spoilers or anything. It's like what the game is supposed to be about. Is that character from a previous game, the friend?
No, it looks like all the supporting cast is brand new. Max seems to be the only returning character, which
That's so weird.
Which, if you've played the original Life is Strange, makes a lot of sense, because Life is Strange is all about choices and guiding the narrative, and sometimes in like a Walking Dead game, those choices can be superficial, and ultimately you end up at the same point. But in Life is Strange, your choices can end in radically different results. I won't spoil the end of Life is Strange for those who want to go back and play it, and I recommend you do if you're interested in Double Exposure. But the two endings of that game could not be further apart in like where they land. It's not just a this person lives or this person dies. It's like your life is going to go on one or two completely divergent paths. So the fact that this sequel, they kind of have to do that, unless they're going to canonize one of those endings, which would seem an odd choice, right? Like, so much of these games is about your adventure. And if they took that original game and canonized one of the endings, that has the potential to alienate a lot of the audience. So to have her go out on her own brand new adventure seems like the right way to go.
Yeah, it looks interesting, and I'm glad that these games exist for the impact and the storytelling, because people like you love stories. I love your stories.
I love my stories. I like my stories, my bedtime stories, which brings us to the cream. It's time to cream, Antonio.
I am ready to
want to know your game of the bang.
Don't make me choose. There are two: Star Wars Outlaws and Monster Hunter Wilds. But on the spot, you put me on the spot, and I'm gonna say Monster Hunter Wilds.
Nice.
We see more of this game in trailers again recently, but there was a behind closed doors select. People were able to see more of the game than others, and then there were recaps that came out, and people were sharing what they had learned, sharing about the gameplay tidbits. And long story short is I am a big Monster Hunter fan. I've been trying to nudge you ever so slightly to get involved in the franchise, because you are a warrior with your blade or your weapon, and you are trying to learn the moves and master your techniques so you know how to deal with these monstrous enemies. So the whole game is basically boss fights, fighting huge monsters with special attacks and trying to dodge your way out and attack at the opportune time. And you can play multiplayer with people. And then you get the spoils of war. When you take down a big monstrous creature, you use their body parts to craft stronger armor and weapons. So Monster Hunter as a game, action game, has really pulled me in. I completely beat Monster Hunter Rise. Kind of burned out on it because there was Sunbreak after that, and I only played a little bit of that. But I am ready to go back. This game, this new iteration, looks like they're taking great leaps graphically. It just looks like night and day different from before. Like, they really just modernized the whole thing. The animations are insane. The new monsters look great. The world looks beautiful. It's just, Monster Hunter Wild looks so amazing to me, and I'm just really hoping that they keep good gameplay, and then they have this new setting with this new coat of paint and these new graphics, and it's going to be fantastic. What did you think of Monster Hunter Wilds?
This has been a series that I've been very reluctant to get into because I know what that gameplay hook and that investment is all about. But I'll tell you what got me going with this trailer was, surprise, it looks like it's got story. It looks like it's telling a story, which I've never gotten out of any other Monster Hunter trailers. Maybe it's in there, but like I said, I've been hesitant to jump into that pool. But this trailer was all about like the world and the characters and what they're doing, and it looks like a story is being told. So I was like, oh shit, am I finally going to play a Monster Hunter game? I was excited about it. And then I saw that Monster Hunter Rise is going to be on PlayStation Plus this month. So I'm going to try that out to see if the gameplay hooks me. But this looks cool. I think I messaged you pretty quickly, like, am I going to play one of these now, finally? I think it looks great.
They have weather effects, climate. Their mounts have been upgraded.
Mounts are cool looking.
There's going to be ecosystems going on. It looks so good, and I am so excited for this one, and I hope to get you in. The Monster Hunter Rise is a really good starting point for people. It's very accessible. Like, it gets you right into the action, and just take it like an action game and get that first thrill of taking down a very large beast under your good hunter wiles and your smarts and wits, and you will be
I gotta be
hooked.
Smart? I gotta be smart?
You have to be intelligent Monster Hunter.
Oh no, I'm screwed. Now I'm conflicted here because your runner-up game is my runner-up game, So I do
Okay,
want to talk about that after
we
my
have to talk about
game of
it,
the
yeah.
bang. But my game has got to be Astrobot. And I
Astrobot.
am almost equal parts excited and pissed off that this game exists because
Why?
the PlayStation State of Play capped off with the reveal of Astrobot, which is a full-fledged 3D Astrobot adventure, like full scale. There's like something like 80 levels in this game, all sorts of cameos that you've come to expect from this franchise. Looks like an amazing platformer. Team Asobi team. I always get Asobo Studios and Team Asobi mixed up, but they know how to make a damn 3D platformer. Astrobot Rescue Mission is like the best Mario-like game that I've played in like the last 10 plus years. But that's kind of why I'm pissed off, because I wanted this to be a VR game. I really, really wanted this to be a PSVR 2 game. I don't understand it. I don't know how you can take a character that was like the face of your VR platform. PlayStation VR came out, you had Astro in the little tech demos, and then you created Astrobot's Rescue Mission, which is heralded by many to be the best VR game ever across any platform. And you've got this PSVR 2, which is so underserved. Like, where are the goddamn Sony games? There's plenty of games there, but where are the fucking Sony games? So, like, the trailer starts, and I jumped up. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. It's happening. It's my Rescue Mission remake. It's finally happening. And I watched the whole trailer, and nothing says VR. It's a PlayStation 5 game, which it's still my most excited. I'm still most excited about this game. It's my most anticipated game, and I think it's going to be great. Game of the year caliber, absolutely. But damn, I wish this was in VR. I really, really do. Regardless, it looks great. It looks outstanding.
So here's the thing, Adam. I have bad news for you about the PSVR.
It's dead?
I didn't say that, but it's fun. But it's funny that you did, because they're not supporting it. And I knew when we discussed about how excited you were to get into that platform, I was like, it's going to be a shot in the dark, hit or miss. You just never know. But it does look like the support is waning. And it's unfortunate, because the thing about these platformers in VR is they're so magical, because that view that you have is it's magic in VR. But similar to like Lucky's Tale, Super Lucky's Tale, where you had a VR game and then they adapted it to console play, you could still play the game, but it took away that magic. It was still a platformer, but the magic was gone. Now, I'm just reading here from an article. The game, this is Astrobot, the new game that's coming, relies heavily on the controller's haptic feedback, gyroscope, and adaptive triggers to help the player feel more immersed in the world. And they will do that. We know they will. But something's going to be missing, and I'm afraid that when this finally comes out, people are going to be surprised at that magic not being there, and they're going to be like, oh, we forgot about the VR. Tell me why they couldn't do it backwards and say, here's a console version and then here's the PSVR 2 version, but it simply adds the perspective. Like, now you're the camera.
No sense
like,
to me.
what? Like, because if you could go the other way and adapt a VR game to the console space, and you already have the PSVR 2, then you could be like, hey, buy it once and it's available in both forms. And then when the people who have bought it on the console side like it, then they're like, man, if I go and get a PSVR 2 headset right now, I can play this with the VR view, and I love it. And then everyone's telling me to get it. Does this make some sense, what I'm saying here? Like, I don't know.
The difference between Astro's Playroom, which was the PS5 launch, like, mini game, that's still a great game. A lot of people call it a demo, and that always just fucking frustrates the hell out of me, because it's a great game. It's shorter, but it's a game. And Astro's Rescue Mission is, you're right, it from the outside looking in, it's the same. In Rescue Mission, you are on like a Crash Bandicoot-esque track, however. So you're true. Imagine like you're dangling on a crane and you're going down. You're still running around and platforming left to right and up and down and all that stuff. That's the only difference, because in this game, you'll be able to fully 3D Mario your way around everything. I still think they could do it. They absolutely could do it. But that's like the main difference that I see between like how you build the game. Is Rescue Mission was more point A, point B kind of going into the screen experience, like an old school Crash Bandicoot, whereas this is going to be more of like a 3D Mario game. But I still think they could absolutely fucking do it, and it drives me nuts that they're not.
No, you're right. Yeah, and that's like some confusion on my part. What's interesting here is it's just called Astrobot. If there was ever a game that needed a subtitle, this game kind of does.
Astrobot's not VR game.
Well, Astrobot, the new, I don't know, something. Like any subtext would be clarifying for this, because now we're talking about Astrobot. Which one? The new one.
It seems like a starting point, right?
I guess.
Which
yeah.
also kind of seems like they're just like, VR, you're not in our future. We're just going to keep doing Astrobot 1, 2, 3, and I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that we'll get a remake of that game, because it's criminal that they have not put Rescue Mission on PSVR 2. Like the fact that you can't play that game on PSVR 2, and it's just like, just fucking port it. Just port it. There's no
I thought
reason
they said they were going to be select ports.
There were, not this one.
And they didn't do it?
Nope.
You're kidding me right now.
The thing that drives me... can I do another hot take? Why not? Let's do 2 hot takes.
Oh my god. That's wild.
Astrobot Rescue Mission doesn't use the Move controllers. It just uses a DualSense. Why can't you just port that and then just use the fucking DualShock? It's the same controller configuration. You got the touchpad. You got the same buttons. How has this game not been ported to PSVR 2? It makes no goddamn sense at all. None.
Adam, I think Sony PlayStation hates you.
They do.
Personally.
Specifically. Look at this shit. Hold on a second. Look at this shit.
Dude, PlayStation doesn't
I
like it.
Bought a little...
Wow.
I love Astro. I love it. Look at... I got a little toy.
It's really nice. I love your little Astro toy.
I just want to give you my money, PlayStation. I just want to give you my money.
I weep for you, Adam. It's like you're a junkie, just like at the feet of your dealer,
PS5,
and they just will not give you your fix.
All your PS4 games on PS5, no problem. We're gonna make this controller the same layout, so we don't have any problem porting anything over. PlayStation VR 2, yeah, some of those games are gonna come on over. The ones that are easy to do that we can make. Not this motherfucker.
I don't think it's gonna happen either. Now that I'm realizing where they're going with this, like they're literally abandoning
what goddamn world are we living in?
Fantastic title. I don't know.
Can you talk about Star Wars Outlaw and make me happy?
Star Wars Outlaws is really good in that, like, you have a Star Wars universe that's every time they release more Star Wars and a new game, you see the graphical boundaries being pushed and what people can do with the latest, greatest technology. And then when you see these bustling worlds, like these scenes in Star Wars that are so iconic, where it's like, wow, this is very alien. You walk into the cantina and it's filled with like all kinds of different species or aliens. Then you have the big set pieces in things like the more, Jedi Survivor game, and you have the story of, okay, what story can we tell? We have all of those elements coming together in that we have a new take. We're not talking about Jedi here. We're talking about some scoundrel character. We're talking about more open world places with an exploration aspect of these very cool worlds. And then they're bustling and they feel alive in a way that, if you look at Jedi Survivor and things, like you're on rails, it feels, even with the open world and you exploring the levels and doing some like platforming, it does feel like it's very catered. It's very like
very video gamey.
This, then it's cinematic. And then this, it's like we're still gonna go for that, but give you more freedom to be in control and see the areas that you want. And what I'm hoping for is more interesting stories and side missions and getting into the lore and culture of the different places. That's what intrigues me. It's like, okay, you run into someone who's involved in such and such, and they need help in this way, and now we have an interesting mission where you
Open
takes
world,
you
baby.
somewhere. Yeah, it's looking really great visually, and more Star Wars, please. We need more Star Wars games, not less. So I'm glad this is coming out.
Couple things that stand out to me about this game. It's made by Massive Entertainment,
Yes.
who made the Avatar game. And I'm like, this is all I asked for. Third person. Didn't seem that hard, did it? Love the look of this. I love that you get in your ship and you're like, I'm gonna go fly around, and then you just fucking fly into space, No Man's Sky style, and you can do space missions and help people. I love this. It's not my game of the bang, but the two of us put it runner up. So I think we're gonna call it the game of the three-way. Is what we're gonna do.
Three-way.
Game
Yeah,
of the three-way.
It ended up being a three-way. It's
And
like
we put Star Wars right between us, and then we just went to town.
Yep. High five.
I think we got to end this show now.
Okay.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
All right. Bye.